So this is just going to be an addition to the playlist. I think that we've established pretty much could be that this menorah is a reference to a tree, perhaps like the olive tree. Not olive tree, I mean the almond tree. And so we've got one light higher than the others, and these other ones are on the side. But could it be that it's a branch, so that there's like one higher and then the rest of them are off the side? Doesn't necessarily have to mean straight up. Like I talked about, maybe it's like a 360 idea, like an actual branch of a tree. And so, could this be a reference to a tree and tree with lights on it, candles, you know? Um, so then I was thinking about Christmas and the Christmas tree. And this is based on Nimrod worship. I thought this was an interesting picture where it talks about the tree with a snake wrapped around it, and then you've got the garland wrapping around the tree like a snake. And you've got one star on top, that's one light on top. They used to use candles on these trees. So they would go out and cut down a tree that was alive, and they would take it into their house and put it up. Of course, you probably know the Jeremiah verses about not these pagan idols, basically, and you're not supposed to deck it with silver and gold and things like that. But they would do that, and so they would, kill a tree, bring it in, stick it up. And there's also verses about the evergreens not having to be cut down anymore in the Millennium Kingdom, which is really interesting. But there's another picture here where it talks about, people, Christians would say, it's not really worshiping a tree. You're not worshiping a tree. It's not an idol. And then it talks about the Hebrew word for worship is shakah, which means to bow down or prostrate oneself. And so you are bowing down to the tree when you are giving it gifts and then taking it back. People bow down to the tree, and you can make of that what you will, but it's definitely pagan worship. It's the pagan idea of worship. That's what they would do, you know. So they would act as if the tree was a representation of Nimrod, a phallic symbol, straight upright. It talks about the palm being upright because they used to use palm trees because they were like a phoenix that would grow. And the palm actually has the word phoenix in one of the genuses, I believe it was. So I'll leave links below to that if I can remember. If not, you can ask me. But it is connected to the phoenix. They used to use palm trees. Now they use evergreens. But it's the same idea. They stick upright, just like the tares stick upright and don't bow down with good fruit. Evergreens don't have the fruit on it that we would see on an almond tree. And so I definitely think this is, the comparison where you've got the Nimrod tree and you've got an almond tree. Well, the almond tree, it's supposed to grow. It grows and it blooms and blossoms early. And that's used often in scripture. But then you've got the evergreen that doesn't just, it's just the same year round. And the evergreen, it's the phallic symbol where it sticks upright. And people place balls on it. That's a sexual thing. They're placing balls on it because it's a phallic symbol. So, that's that sort of idea that it's maybe a mockery of the tree of life, where the tree of life brings everlasting life, and that's what the enemy, the people who worship pagan idols, believe that they're constantly being reborn and everything. They believe in that cycle of life, and they kind of worship the sun. That's Nimrod, the sun god, and he's always there. He's just in different stages. So they cut down the tree and they burn it. It's all connected with the Yule log stuff. Not going to get into everything. You guys can study Christmas out if you haven't already, but it's a reference to life. That's what they're doing, is they are referencing life when they put it up. So is this a mockery of the tree of life? Is the Christmas tree a mockery of the tree of life? It's an interesting thought, I think. They deck it with, these balls, and there's the snake around it, and it's all sexual. Is this like a worship of the whole idea of how Eve had sex with the serpent or whatever that people are saying? Now, that's not what I believe, but I'm saying that these stories get passed down, and then they use these symbols as a reference to the fallen angels and the women having intercourse. So is that what this is kind of commemorating? Where the serpent is wrapped around the tree and the serpent is beguiling Eve, and then they're coming together, and that's the death. Because see, the Christmas tree has to die, because you have to cut it down. Whereas our Father doesn't want us cutting down trees and killing life. The almond trees were growing, and you don't have to cut them down, as a representation. The menorahs, they're burning. You don't have to kill a plant, an animal, a tree, to have that tree of life. It's inside of us. We are the branches. Yehoshua is the vine. It's a spiritual thing, but they're so carnal. They turn it into something where they go and chop down a tree and kill it. And so that can be a reference to the chopped down tree of life when they put up a Christmas tree and wrap it around with a serpent. And the serpent still is beguiling people, leading them into more and more sin, symbolically speaking. So is that what Christmas is all about? Is that a mockery of the tree of life? I'm thinking that it is. And I never even thought of this before until this video series, and then I saw this Christmas tree and I was like, wow, if the tree of life has all these lights on it, well, that's what they used to do with the Christmas tree. They used to light it up. They used to use candles on it, on the branches. So let me know what your thoughts are below in the comment section on that. After watching my video on the tree of life and various other cultures, Valerie gave me this link. This is for the Zoroastrian, I think. I might be mispronouncing that. It says the Buddhism, along with other legendary or historical sources, reveals the basically animistic Mazdian conception of the vegetable kingdom, which is reflected in tree symbolism. Cf. the animistic, representative, and symbolic stages distinguished in the general development of tree worship. So it's talking about the fact that they worship these trees and plants in the vegetable kingdom. In the Mazdian tradition, plants, like other natural phenomena, were believed to have souls. So what I think about that is, with the fallen angels coming down and becoming objects, could it be that some did have these fallen angel souls? That doesn't necessarily mean all of them did, but it could mean that some of them did, and that could be why people would worship some of these plants or trees or things like that. It says, all Ahura Mazda given clean plants, instinct with divine spirit, were venerable. So all of the clean plants, instinct with divine spirit, were venerable, worth worshipping, I guess. It says here, let's see here. Oh, this is a part in parentheses, sorry. All right, okay. And this principle underlay all Mazdian plant lore, as well as what may have been a kind of tree cult. Mazdians believed that Ahura Mazda created 55 kinds of grains and 12 of medicinal plants, which grew from the semen of the uniquely created bull at its death, as well as 130,000 sardogs, species. So what I'm wondering here, I don't believe in a bull, but in the book of Enoch, it talks about there being a bull at the beginning. Adam is likened unto a bull, where we have his wife Eve being a heifer. From the book of Enoch, says section 4, chapter 85 here. And after this I saw another dream, and I will show the whole dream to thee, my son. And Enoch lifted up his voice and spake to his son Methuselah, to thee, my son, will I speak. Hear my words, incline thine ear to the dream vision of thy father. Before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my bed, and behold, a bull came forth from the earth, and that bull was white. And after it came forth a heifer, and along with this latter came forth 2 bulls, one of them black and the other red. And the black bull gored the red one, and pursued him over the earth, and thereupon I could no longer see that red bull. And so, if you've never heard this story, basically it's referencing the fact that Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and so one of them was slain, right? So that's what's going on when the bull gored the red one. So this is a reference to Adam being a bull, and that's the first one created. Adam was a son of God and he was uniquely created. Yehoshua actually came from Eve. He was born on earth, but Adam was uniquely created. So he would have been the uniquely created bull. And at its death, it says these 12 medicinal plants which grew from the semen of the uniquely created bull at its death. So the semen, this could be a reference to the fact Adam's children. Okay. From Adam's children, then we get this 55 kinds of grains and 12 medicinal plants. This seems to be very symbolic. I'm not saying that, plants came from Adam. What I'm saying is that this 12 different kinds of plants ends up being important here. So I'm going to continue on. Let's see here. From the combined seeds of all these plants, a cosmic or archetypal tree, multi-seeded tree, grew in the middle of the mythical sea froxword. That could be a reference maybe to the Garden of Eden. In the middle of the Garden of Eden or in the middle of the heavenly kingdom, there is a tree with these seeds, the 12 different medicinal plants that grew from Adam, the uniquely created bull. This fabulous tree was also known as righteous/diligent physician. Now that could be a reference to Yehoshua, who came as the physician to heal those who were sick, but it's also just from the seed, and there's 12 different types of healing plants. He's the physician, right? And it's also called all healer, all remedy tree, or anti-pain tree, so against pain, anti-pain tree, because it's a healing tree. These allusions to the healing virtues of this fantastic tree probably reflect the belief that it embodied the 12 kinds of medicinal plants mentioned above, as well as the belief that the 10,000 sardogs were intended by Mazad to counter the 10,000 diseases devised by Araman. You guys can study that stuff for yourself. But what I find very fascinating is Revelation 22, verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So we've got a healing tree, and it's got 12 manner of fruits. So this seems to be another reference found in another religion to the tree of life in the heavenly kingdom. And once again, if we see this tree as the physician, then you see that the tree is Yehoshua, and we are the branches of the tree, bearing these 12 different types of fruits. And we are all the seed of Adam, the uniquely created bull that it was speaking of. And of course, Enoch mentioned him being a bull. So this is not totally crazy. This is not, weird symbolic language that we've never heard of before. So I definitely think it's interesting. So what do you guys think? Thanks for listening. Shalom.